Tom lived in a small town on the edge of the great desert planet, Arkan 7. The planet was old and scarred, long ago. Many battles had been fought here between humans and alien invaders. Now, much of the land was empty, filled with ruins and broken machines. Most people tried to stay safe and avoid danger, but Tom was different. He was a scavenger. He searched the deserts and old battlefields for anything valuable. Sometimes he found old tools, sometimes strange parts of machines, and sometimes old weapons. One hot morning, Tom woke early. The sky was pale orange with the rising sun. He packed his bag and grabbed his small digging tools. He had heard a story from an old man about a place called the Forgotten Valley, where a great battle had taken place many years before. Some said a special weapon was buried there, hidden by the fallen warriors who fought and died. Tom decided to find that weapon. The journey to the Forgotten Valley was long and hard. The desert was full of sharp rocks, dry winds, and dangerous creatures, but Tom was used to it. He walked carefully, looking for signs of the old battle. After several hours, he saw strange shapes sticking out of the sand-broken helmets, pieces of armor, and twisted metal. This was the place. Tom started digging near a large broken statue. His hands moved fast, brushing away the sand and dirt. Suddenly, his fingers touched something cold and hard. He cleared more sand and found the hilt of a sword. It was old but looked strong. The sword was stuck deep in the ground. Tom pulled with all his strength. After a few tries, the sword came free. The sword's blade was dark but shiny. It looked like no sword Tom had ever seen. The hilt was wrapped in faded cloth. Tom held it carefully and looked closely. On the blade, he saw strange letters glowing faintly. He could read them clearly. Even though the language was old, it said, "All enemies of the fallen warrior are now your enemies." Tom felt a strange chill run down his spine. The words seemed to glow brighter for a moment. He wondered what the message meant. Who was the fallen warrior? Why should he care about the warrior's enemies? As Tom held the sword, he felt a sudden power inside him, a warmth and strength he never had before. His body felt alive and alert. It was like the sword was alive and spoke to him without words. Tom's heart beat faster. He knew this was no ordinary sword. Suddenly, he heard a noise behind him. He turned quickly. A small group of people was watching him from a distance. One of them stepped forward. It was a young woman with short brown hair and sharp eyes. She walked calmly toward Tom. "I see you found the sword," she said quietly. Tom gripped the sword tightly. "Who are you?" he asked. "My name is Mira," she said. "I have been looking for that sword for a long time. It is very important." Tom was surprised. "Why? What is it?" Mira looked around to make sure no one was listening. "That sword belonged to a great warrior from long ago. Many people want it because it holds a special power. The sword chooses its owner, and it brings both power and danger." Tom looked at the glowing words again. "It says, 'All enemies of the fallen warrior are now your enemies.' What does that mean?" Mira sighed. "It means that if you take the sword, you become the warrior's heir. You inherit his friends, his enemies, and his battles. You cannot run away from what comes next." Tom felt a mix of fear and excitement. He had always wanted to do something important, to help his people. But he had never thought about danger like this. "Why did you come here?" Tom asked. "I follow the trail of this sword," Mira said. "There are others who want it. They are part of the alien empire that destroyed many worlds. They fear the sword's power and want to control it." Tom looked at the sword again. He knew he had a choice. He could leave it here and forget everything, or he could take it and face whatever came. He took a deep breath. "I will keep the sword. I want to know more." Mira smiled for the first time. "Good. Then you must come with me. It is not safe here." Together, they left the Forgotten Valley, moving fast toward a small hidden camp Mira knew. On the way, Tom felt the sword's power growing inside him. Sometimes, he thought he could hear a voice, soft and strong, telling him to be brave. When they reached the camp, Tom saw a small group of people, all watching him closely. They looked tired but hopeful. Mira introduced him to them. This is the Resistance, she said. We fight to protect humans from the alien empire. With the sword, Tom may help us turn the tide. Tom felt nervous, but ready. He had found something much bigger than himself. A story that had waited many years to be told again. That night, Tom held the sword beside the fire. The glowing letters shone faintly in the dark. He promised himself to learn the truth about the fallen warrior and to face all the enemies that would come. The night was quiet in the small camp where Tom and Mira had arrived. The Resistance fighters sat around a low fire, sharing stories and planning their next moves against the alien empire. Tom watched the sword's glowing letters flicker softly. In the firelight, he felt a mix of pride and worry. The power inside the sword was strange, but he knew it could help them fight. Mira sat beside him. You need rest, she said softly. Tomorrow will be hard. Tom nodded but could not sleep. His mind was full of questions. Who was the fallen warrior? What kind of enemies would come after him? He wished he had answers. Before dawn, the camp stirred. Mira was already up, walking carefully outside the tent. Tom followed her. The sky was a soft blue, and the air was cool. Mira looked toward the horizon, her face serious. They are coming, she said. Tom's heart beat faster. Who? The alien soldiers, Mira answered. They found the camp. We must prepare. Tom stood up quickly. He held the sword tightly. It felt warm in his hand. The glowing letters on the blade shone brighter as if warning him. The Resistance. Fighters moved fast. They took weapons from their packs and checked their gear. Tom felt the weight of the sword, but also its power. He was not a soldier before, but now he felt ready. Suddenly, the silence broke. In the distance, loud engines roared. The ground shook beneath their feet. Tom saw strange vehicles speeding toward the camp. They were dark and covered with sharp edges, clearly designed for war. Mira shouted, "Defend the camp! Protect everyone!" The Resistance fighters spread out. Tom took his place near the front. As the alien vehicles got closer, Tom raised the sword. A strange energy pulsed from the blade, sending waves of light around him. The enemies slowed for a moment, confused by the sudden power. Then the battle began. The alien soldiers jumped from their vehicles and charged. Tom swung the sword with all his strength. The blade cut through the air like fire. Each time the sword touched an enemy, Tom felt stronger. The glowing letters on the blade burned brighter, lighting up the dark morning. Mira fought beside him. She moved quickly and skillfully, protecting the weaker fighters and helping Tom when he was surrounded. The aliens were fierce, but they did not expect the sword's power. Tom's attacks grew faster and more precise. He felt the spirit of the fallen warrior guiding his hands. During the fight, Tom saw a small group of alien commanders. They wore silver armor and moved with purpose. One of them, tall and wearing a helmet with a red visor, seemed to be the leader. Tom's sword pulsed strongly when it pointed toward him. The leader shouted orders in a language Tom could not understand. The alien soldiers were grouped and attacked harder. Tom knew he had to stop them. He ran toward the commander, swinging the sword with all his might. The commander raised a shield that shimmered with energy, blocking the blade. Tom felt the sword hum. The blade's glow spread, breaking through the shield. The commander stumbled back, surprised. But before Tom could strike again, another alien soldier jumped from behind and grabbed his arm. Tom dropped the sword, which landed with a heavy thud on the ground. The battle was not over. Tom fought with his fists, but he was no match for trained soldiers. Mira saw this and rushed to help. Together, they fought off the attackers and retrieved the sword. After the battle, the alien vehicles fled. The camp was safe, but many fighters were hurt. Tom's body ached, and his hands trembled from the fight. Mira looked at Tom with respect. "You fought well. The sword chose you for a reason." Tom nodded, still holding the sword. "But why me? I am just a scavenger." "You are more than that now," Mira said. "The sword's power is tied to the fallen warrior. He was a hero who fought for humanity long ago. Now, you carry his legacy." Tom looked at the sword. The glowing letters seemed to soften. For a moment, He thought he heard a quiet voice inside his mind. Be brave. Protect the future. Tom felt hope and fear at the same time. The sword had chosen him, and now he was part of a bigger story. Mira helped Tom to the camp's healer. You need rest and healing, she said as the healer worked. Tom asked, what will happen next? Will they come again? They will. Mira answered, the alien empire wants the sword. They fear what it can do. We must prepare for the next attack. Tom closed his eyes and thought about the sword's message. All enemies of the fallen warrior are now your enemies. That meant many dangers ahead. That night, as the camp grew quiet again, Tom sat alone outside his tent. He held the sword close and looked at the stars above. The desert planet was calm for now, but Tom knew his life had changed forever. He was no longer just a scavenger. He was the sword's new owner, and with it came great power and great responsibility. The morning sun rose slowly over the camp, casting long shadows across the dusty ground. Tom sat beside the fire, the sword resting against his knee. The glow from the letters on the blade was faint but steady. He still felt the power inside it, but questions filled his mind like a storm. Mira approached quietly, carrying a small, old book wrapped in cloth. It is time, she said softly. You need to know the story of the fallen warrior. Tom looked up, curious and ready to listen. Mira unwrapped the book and opened it carefully. The pages were yellowed and fragile, filled with drawings and strange writing. This book has been passed down for generations, she explained. It tells the story of the warrior who once held this sword. Tom leaned closer as Mira began to speak. Long ago, before the great wars that shaped our world, there was a man named Ron. He was a soldier and a leader. People called him the fallen warrior because of his bravery and the tragedy that followed. Mira traced her finger over a drawing of a strong man holding a sword similar to the one Tom held. Ron fought to protect humanity from an alien empire called the Draxians. They wanted to take over human worlds and destroy anyone who stood in their way. Tom's eyes widened. Is the Draxian Empire the same enemy attacking us now? Mira nodded. Yes. They have been trying to conquer human planets for centuries. Ron was the greatest hero who fought against them. He led many battles and won. But he was betrayed. Betrayed? Tom asked, gripping the sword tighter. Yes, Mira said. Some humans, afraid of the Draxians, made a secret deal with the enemy. They wanted peace, but at a terrible price. They turned against Ron and left him to die on the battlefield. Tom felt a heavy sadness. So he died alone. Mira shook her head. No. Ron's last act was to curse his enemies. He used his sword to bind their fate. The curse said that anyone who carries his sword will be the enemy of all those who wronged him. That is why the sword says, all enemies of the fallen warrior are now your enemies. Tom looked down at the blade. The glowing letters seemed to pulse with life. So, by holding this sword, I carry Ron's curse and his fight. Yes, Mira said, you carry his legacy. The sword holds his strength and will help you fight, but it also brings danger. The Draxians and their human allies want the sword back. They fear its power. Tom thought about the attack the day before. The alien soldiers who came were no ordinary fighters. They knew the sword's power. How do I unlock the sword's full strength? He asked. Mira closed the book gently. Ron's power is connected to his spirit. It will grow as you prove yourself in battle and protect those who cannot protect themselves. The sword listens to your heart. Tom looked at the camp around him. The tired faces of the fighters, the hopeful eyes of the children. They needed protection. Maybe the sword was not just a weapon, but a symbol of hope. I want to learn, Tom said. I want to be strong enough to defend everyone. Mira smiled. Good. Then we must start training for the next few days. Tom trained with Mira and the other fighters. Mira taught him how to use the sword properly. The blade was lighter than it looked and moved like water when swung correctly. Tom learned to feel its power, to listen to the quiet voice that sometimes whispered inside his mind. At first, it was difficult. His arms ached, and he stumbled many times. But every time he practiced, the sword's glow grew stronger. It was like the fallen warrior's spirit was waking inside him. One afternoon, as Tom rested by the camp's edge, an old man came to sit beside him. He wore simple clothes and had kind eyes. "I heard about the sword," the man said. "My name is Loran. I was a friend of Ron." Tom looked at him in surprise. "You knew the fallen warrior?" Loran nodded. "Yes, we fought together in the old wars. Ron was brave and kind. He cared for everyone, even those who did not understand him. He believed in a future where humans and aliens could live in peace." Tom listened closely as Loran continued. "But the betrayal changed everything. Ron died because of it, but his spirit never left the sword. The curse is strong. Many have tried to claim the sword for power and failed. Only those who carry Ron's heart can unlock its true strength." Tom touched the sword's hilt. "What must I do?" "Keep your courage," Loran said. "Help others without fear. Fight not just with strength, but with honor. The sword will guide you." That night, Tom dreamed of Ron standing on a battlefield, surrounded by enemies. The warrior raised his sword, and a bright light shone from the blade. Then Ron looked at Tom and smiled. "Your fight begins now," the dream voice said. "Be brave." Tom woke with a start. The sword beside him glowed warmly. He felt ready. The next morning, Mira came to him with news. "We received word that the Draxians are gathering forces nearby. They will attack soon. This will be your first real test." Tom stood, gripping the sword. "I will be ready." Mira nodded. "Remember, you are not alone. The fallen warriors' legacy lives in you and in all of us." As the sun rose higher, Tom looked toward the horizon. He was no longer just a scavenger. He was a warrior, chosen to carry a powerful legacy. The battles ahead would be difficult, but Tom believed in one thing: he would protect his people and fight for a future where no one would have to live in fear. The days passed quickly. The small camp was alive with preparation. Tom trained every morning with Mira and the others. He had grown stronger, more confident with the sword in his hand. The glowing letters on the blade were clearer now, and the strange voice in his mind was steady and calm. But the news was troubling. Scouts returned each day with warnings. The Draxian Empire was gathering their forces nearby. Their ships darkened the skies over the distant mountains, and strange signals were sent through the desert winds. One evening, as the sun set behind the rocky hills, Mira stood before the group of fighters. Her voice was firm and clear. "They will attack soon," she said. "The Draxians want the sword. They believe if they take it, the war will be theirs." Tom felt the weight of her words. He looked around at the faces of the resistance fighters. Some were young and full of hope. Others were tired and worn from years of battle. All of them looked to him, the sword's new bearer. "We must be ready," Tom said, trying to sound strong. "We will fight together." Mira nodded, a small smile on her lips. "That is why we train. The sword's power will grow, but we must stand as one." The next day, Tom and Mira went to the camp's watchtower. From there, they could see the distant horizon clearly. Smoke rose in the distance. Alien ships moved like shadows, preparing for war. "We are outnumbered," Mira said quietly, "but the sword gives us an advantage." Tom gripped the sword's hilt. He felt a pulse of energy flow through his arm. The sword seemed alive, ready for the battle ahead. Suddenly, a scout ran toward them, breathless. "They are moving faster. The Draxians are coming this way." Tom and Mira exchanged a quick look. It was time. Back at the camp, the fighters moved swiftly. Weapons were loaded, defenses checked, and positions assigned. Tom took his place at the front, the sword glowing brighter than ever. As the first enemy ships appeared on the horizon, the camp's alarms sounded. The resistance fighters took cover behind rocks and barricades. The Draxians arrived with a loud roar. Their ships landed, and soldiers poured out. They wore dark armor and carried strange weapons that glow with energy. Their leader, the one with the red visor Tom had seen before, stepped forward. Tom stepped out, holding the sword high. "I am the heir of the fallen warrior," he said. "You will not take this sword." The leader laughed coldly. "You are brave, human, but this sword belongs to us. Surrender it, or be destroyed." Tom's eyes narrowed. The sword's letters glowed fiercely. The battle began. Tom moved with a speed and strength he had never known. The sword cut through the enemy's defenses like light through darkness. Each strike sent waves of energy that pushed back the attackers. Mira and the fighters fought beside him, covering his sides and protecting the camp. The desert echoed with the sounds of battle shouts, clashes, and the hum of alien weapons. The enemy leader watched carefully, his red visor shining. He raised a powerful energy shield, blocking Tom's strongest attacks. Tom remembered Lauren's words. Fight with honor, fight with your heart. He dropped his sword for a moment and dodged the leader's attack. Then, with a quick move, he grabbed the sword again and swung it low. The blade passed through the shield and struck the leader's armor. The leader stumbled back. Surprised. Impossible. Tom pressed forward, his confidence growing. The sword's power filled him like fire. He could feel the fallen warrior's spirit with him, guiding every move. But the battle was not over. More Draxian soldiers arrived, surrounding Tom and the fighters. The leader shouted orders, rallying his forces. Tom realized they needed a plan. He called to Mira. We must split their forces. Mira nodded. I will lead a group around the left. You take the right. The fighters moved quickly, using the desert rocks for cover. Tom felt the sword's glow strengthen as he fought with skill and courage. On the right, Tom faced many enemies. Each time the sword struck, it sent a pulse that slowed their movements. The glowing letters shone brighter, lighting the dark battlefield. On the left, Mira's group surprised the Draxians. They destroyed their supply vehicles and cut off their reinforcements. The Draxians grew weaker. Their leader's anger showed through his visor. Tom saw his chance. With a shout, he charged toward the leader, sword raised high. The leader met him with a powerful blast. The two forces clashed, light against light, power against power. Tom remembered the fallen warrior's curse and promise. He would fight not just for himself, but for everyone who believed in freedom. With one final strike, Tom's sword broke through the leader's shield and touched his armor. The glowing letters burned bright, and the leader fell to his knees. The remaining Draxian soldiers retreated. Defeated for now, the camp was safe. Tom and Mira stood together, breathing hard. The sword's glow softened, but its power remained. Mira smiled. You did well, Tom. The sword's power grows with each victory. Tom looked at the fighters around him. This is just the beginning. We have many battles ahead. The fighters cheered quietly, ready to face whatever came next. That night, Tom sat by the fire, the sword resting beside him. The stars above shone brightly, and the desert was calm again. He thought of Ron, the fallen warrior, and the legacy he now carried. The enemies were many, but so was hope. Tom knew one thing for sure. He would not give up. He would protect his people and fight for a future free from fear. The camp was quieter now, but the tension still hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Tom sat beside the fire, the sword resting on his lap. Its glow was soft, almost like it was waiting for something. He thought about the last battle and the strange power he now carried. There were still many questions in his mind. Mira sat down beside him. There is something you must know, she said, about the fallen warrior and about you. Tom looked at her, curious. What is it? Mira took a deep breath. The truth is hidden. Not many know it. The fallen warrior, Ron, was not just a soldier. He was once human, like you and me, but he was special. Tom listened closely. Ron was chosen by an ancient group called the Guardians. They protected powerful secrets and weapons from falling into the wrong hands, Mira explained. The sword you carry is one of those secrets. Tom's eyes widened. Secrets? What kind of secrets? Mira opened the old book again and showed a map drawn inside. This sword is the key to an ancient weapon buried deep underground. It is a weapon so powerful that it could end the war with Draxians once and for all. Tom looked at the map. It showed a place far from the deserts, an old, hidden bunker beneath the surface of Arkham 7. But why hasn't anyone found it? Tom asked. Because it is protected, Mira said. Only the one who carries the sword can enter. The weapon will only work for someone pure of heart and strong in spirit. Tom felt a heavy responsibility. What must I do? Mira smiled gently. We must find the bunker and unlock the weapon before the Draxians do. But it will not be easy. The journey is dangerous, and the weapon needs a great sacrifice to activate. Tom's heart beat faster. A sacrifice, yes, Mira said softly. But first, you must learn more about the sword in your own strength. That night, Tom dreamed again of Ron. The warrior stood before a shining door deep underground. The future depends on you, Ron said. Choose wisely. When Tom woke, he knew he had to begin the journey the next day. The resistance fighters prepared for the trip. Mira led a small group, including Tom, to follow the map's path. The road was rough, filled with rocky hills and deep valleys. As they traveled, Mira taught Tom more about the sword's power. It can protect you and reveal hidden things, she said, but it listens to your heart. You must stay true to yourself. Tom practiced using the sword to sense danger. One day, as they walked through a thick forest, the sword's glow brightened suddenly. Watch out! Mira shouted from the shadows. A group of alien scouts attacked. Tom raised the sword, and a bright light burst from the blade, pushing the enemies back. The resistance fighters fought bravely, and soon the scouts fled. Tom felt the sword's power grow stronger with each victory, but he also felt the weight of his mission pressing down. After several days, they reached the entrance to the hidden bunker. It was covered by thick vines and heavy rocks. Tom stepped forward, holding the sword. The glowing letters shone brightly. He pressed the blade against the rock, and the ground trembled. Slowly, the rocks moved aside, revealing a dark tunnel. Mira looked at Tom. This is it? Are you ready? Tom nodded. I have to be. They entered the bunker carefully. Inside, the walls were lined with strange symbols and lights. The air was cool and still. At the end of the tunnel, they found a large chamber. In the center stood a massive weapon, covered with a shining crystal dome. Tom approached the weapon. The sword began to glow fiercely. He placed the blade on a special pedestal next to the weapon. The crystal dome lit up, and the weapon hummed with energy. But suddenly, the ground shook. The Draxian forces had followed them. The enemy soldiers poured into the bunker, ready to fight. Mira shouted, "Defend the weapon. Protect Tom." Tom felt the sword's power surge inside him. He knew this was the true test. The battle inside the bunker was fierce. The narrow space made fighting difficult. Tom swung the sword with skill and strength, blocking enemy attacks and protecting the weapon. The glowing letters on the blade shone like a beacon. Every strike seemed to weaken the enemies. Mira and the fighters held the line, giving Tom the chance to reach the weapon's control panel. With trembling hands, Tom activated the weapon. A bright light filled the chamber, and a powerful energy beam shot from the dome, striking the enemy forces outside. The Draxian soldiers were pushed back, their ships shaking as the weapon's power hit them hard. The battle was over. Tom looked at the sword and the weapon, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. He had succeeded, but he knew the price was not yet paid. Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. The weapon's power is strong, but it needs a guardian, someone to protect it and keep it safe. Tom understood. This was more than a victory. It was a responsibility. He nodded slowly. I will do it, together. Tom and the resistance fighters prepared to defend the bunker and the weapon. The Draxians would not give up easily, but for now, hope shone bright. Tom had found the hidden truth, unlocked the ancient weapon, and taken the first step toward peace. The fallen warrior's legacy lived on. The hidden bunker was alive with movement. Resistance fighters prepared for the next wave of attacks. Tom stood beside the ancient weapon, the sword glowing softly in his hand. He felt the weight of the mission pressing down on him, but also a deep sense of purpose. This was no longer just his fight, it was the fight of everyone who dreamed of freedom. Mira approached him, her face serious but calm. The Draxians will not stop. They are gathering their strongest forces for one last battle. If they win, everything we fought for will be lost. Tom nodded. We must be ready. Outside the bunker, the desert sun burned hot. From the watchtower, The fighters could see dark shapes moving on the horizon, ships and soldiers ready to strike. Mira gathered the fighters. We hold this ground. Protect the weapon at all costs. Tom, you will lead the defense. Tom felt the sword pulse in his hand. Its power was stronger than ever. He knew he carried the fallen warrior's spirit with him, guiding every move. The first enemy ships landed with a heavy roar. The Draxian soldiers poured out, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. The battle was fierce from the start. Tom moved quickly, the sword cutting through the air with light and power. Every enemy he struck seemed to slow and falter, held back by the sword's ancient magic. Mira and the fighters fought bravely at his side. The air was filled with the sounds of battle shouts, clashes, and the hum of energy weapons. But the enemy was relentless. Suddenly, a huge Draxian war machine rolled into the battlefield. It was taller than any soldier, covered in armor plates that shimmered with energy shields. Tom's eyes narrowed. This was their leader's last weapon, a machine built to crush all who stood against it. The war machine fired a powerful blast that shook the ground. Fighters fell back, struggling to defend the bunker. Tom knew he had to stop it. He called to Mira, "Help me take down that machine." Together, they gathered the fighters and moved toward the war machine. The sword glowed fiercely, its light cutting through the dust and heat. As they approached, the war machine fired again. Tom dodged the blast and swung the sword at its legs. The blade's power shattered the armor, and sparks flew. The machine roared in pain and tried to strike back, but Tom moved faster than it could react. He aimed for its core, the glowing part that powered the machine. With one final strike, the sword pierced the core. The war machine exploded in a burst of light and smoke, falling to the ground with a heavy crash. The enemy soldiers hesitated, their leader defeated. Tom raised the sword high. "This is our land. We will not be defeated." The fighters cheered, their spirits lifted. But the battle was not yet over. From the shadows, the Draxian commander with the red visor appeared. He was angry and desperate. "You may have won today," he said coldly, "but the war is far from over." Tom stepped forward, sword ready. "Your empire will never win. We fight for freedom." The commander charged, weapon raised. Tom met him with the sword's full power. The two clashed. Light against dark, will against will. The fight was fierce and fast. Each strike echoed through the bunker. Tom felt the fallen warrior's spirit, guiding him, lending strength when he needed it most. Finally, with a powerful blow, Tom broke through the commander's defenses. The red visor shattered, and the commander fell to his knees. The remaining enemy soldiers retreated. Defeated and broken, the camp was safe. Tom lowered the sword, breathing hard but victorious. Mira smiled. "You have done what many could not. The fallen warrior's legacy lives in you." Tom looked at the sword, glowing softly. He felt proud but also tired. The battle had been long and hard. That night, the fighters celebrated quietly around the fire. Tom sat apart, thinking about the future. He knew the fight was not over. The Draxian Empire would try again. But now, they had a guardian or protector with the sword's power and the fallen warrior's courage. Tom made a promise to himself and to the people who trusted him. He would protect them. He would carry the sword's legacy. And he would fight for a future where no one would live in fear. The desert night was calm and still. The stars shone brightly above the hidden bunker where Tom stood, holding the sword with care. The battles were over for now. The Draxian Empire had been pushed back, their forces scattered. But Tom knew this peace might not last forever. He looked at the glowing letters on the blade. "All enemies of the fallen warrior are now your enemies." The words reminded him of the journey he had taken, the fights, the sacrifices, and the hope that had grown. Mira came beside him, her eyes soft but strong. "You have done well, Tom. The sword chose a worthy owner." Tom nodded. "I could not have done it without you and the fighters." Mira smiled. "The fallen warrior's spirit lives in all of us. You are the new guardian, but you do not have to carry this alone." Tom took a deep breath. "The sword's power is great, but it is also a heavy burden. Sometimes I wonder what the future holds." Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. The future is what we make of it. You have a choice to protect this world and its people or to walk away and live in peace. Tom thought about the quiet life he had once known, the simple days of scavenging, far from war and danger. But that life felt distant now, like a fading dream. I want to protect, Tom said firmly. I want to honor the fallen warrior and all who fought before us. Mira nodded. Then you must prepare. The sword's legacy is yours to carry. The next days were filled with rebuilding. The resistance fighters repaired the bunker and sent messages to nearby settlements. Word of their victories spread, inspiring hope in the hearts of many. Tom trained new fighters, teaching them what he had learned. He shared the story of the fallen warrior, reminding everyone that courage and honor were stronger than any weapon. One evening, as the camp grew quiet, Tom stood alone outside. He held the sword and looked up at the stars. Memories of his journey filled his mind: the discovery of the sword, the first attack, the battles, and the hidden truth. A soft breeze whispered through the desert. Tom felt the sword pulse gently, as if it were alive. Then, a quiet voice spoke inside his mind, the voice of the fallen warrior. Your fight has only just begun, it said, but you carry the hope of many. Be brave, and the future will be bright. Tom smiled, feeling a calm strength within him. He sheathed the sword and looked toward the horizon. The sun would rise soon, bringing a new day full of possibilities. Tom knew that he was ready to face whatever came next. He was no longer just a man with an old sword. He was a guardian, a protector, a hero. The legacy of the fallen warrior lived on in him and in all those who believed in freedom, and as long as that legacy burned bright, no enemy could ever truly win.